and the Greenwood Cemetery millage. The base value when the TIF district was put into place was $1.15 million and is currently at $1.28 million. Because it went negative for many years after the buildings were demolished and the hole was made. So once it came out of the negative realm, it started capturing tax increments, and the current amount that we have captured is $13,966.17. The plan will close out in 2036 unless action is taken to close it sooner. And just as I think I've been giving the board an update, Emmett County is moving ahead with renovation of their portion of the city county lots, which is expenditure area 3. So there's probably no possibility of a joint city county parking structure at this site. They're probably looking at spending at least $1 million on changing the level of that site and just doing some stormwater upgrades and other things. So that is, and I think they're out for bid for that right now. I don't know that it's going to happen yet this year, or it may happen early next year.
Did you say 1 million?
Sorry?
1 million would redo that?
I think easily for what they're doing. I mean, if you think that what we're doing to the Seville lot is over 300,000 and we're not doing any excavating necessarily, they're taking out the one retaining wall and they're changing the whole level of the lot and putting in stormwater infrastructure. So I would anticipate it's easily going to be $1 million. So again, this is a biannual informational meeting, but at any point the DDA really has two options. One is to just keep the TIF district as it is in place until it expires and continue to hold biannual meetings. Hope that the value of that property assessment does go up or that a project does come forward. But again, we only have 12 years on that plan, which is not a long time to capture revenue. And the other option is to recommend to City Council that the TIF district be eliminated. And this could open up a discussion on whether a new DDA district should be drawn. There are advocates that all of downtown should be a TIF district. Or there are other, besides Downtown Development Authority TIFs, there are brownfield TIFs, and this site has been designated as a brownfield, and you capture a lot more taxing jurisdictions with a brownfield TIF, including the potential to capture state education taxes. So that makes it able to capture at a much faster rate than a DDA TIF. So those are the options, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I would like to hear a little bit more about maybe the pros and cons of the option. The pros and cons of each option. You know, I know Chris is new to the board. I mean, I would like it reiterated. I just think a little more explanation. I can get you more details. Essentially, I would say the disadvantage of eliminating the TIF now is that it is in place. You at least have a TIF in place. Mm-hmm. Once you eliminate it, you may risk that there is not the political will to put another TIF in place, either using this as a boundary or anything else. Okay.
So that's the downside. I think the reality is the way the plan was developed and anticipating that we would start capturing probably 3 years after the district was created, we're never going to capture enough on the TIF as it currently is in 12 years to fund a parking structure on the site. I mean, we could contribute something, but it would not be a significant amount of money. And again, without this, you can't have a TIF. Well, you could have a TIF DDA or DDA TIF and a brownfield TIF. But your brownfield is gonna lose, the DDA will take first position. So your brownfield TIF won't get as much revenue. So those, I mean, again, it's a risk if you eliminate it, that you'll never get a TIF back. I think that's your biggest downside. And I guess until something starts moving, probably the safest is just to leave it as it is. It just, all it requires is that you have this meeting twice a year.
Thank you, Ms. Tweeten. Any other questions or comments? So hearing none, I think that there's no real impetus to make any changes at the moment. Would everyone be in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Tweeten, for the update on the Downtown Development Authority with your synopsis. Thank
Oh,
you.
actually, I do have a question. So we'd have to go to council to actually do anything. They would have to approve any changes or anything.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that would require council approval to make any changes.
Thank you.
But again, thank you very much. I would entertain a motion for adjournment of our Downtown Development Authority Board meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, so moved. So I would like to then call our Downtown Management Board meeting of Tuesday, March 18th, 2025 to order at 6:15 p.m. Thank you all for being here. We will start with our consent agenda.
Could be, she has to talk. I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I will second it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mr. Smith has made the motion. Mr. Albert has seconded. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have approved the consent agenda. Thank you. I'd like to now open it up for public comment. Do we have any comments from the public? Ms. Sanders, anybody online? Okay, thank you. All right, we'd like to move on to new business, reports by Downtown Management Board committees and staff.
As you saw, the only committee that met this month was the design committee. And in the design realm, an easement for the Hollywood sign was drawn. Well, actually, I drafted it, sent it to the attorney for review, made changes. That has been presented to the property owner. He is reviewing it. We will see whether he agrees to a perpetual easement for an investment of up to $20,000 with the conditions that the sign is illuminated from dusk until 11 p.m. 365 days a year. That the DMB would not invest anything further for a minimum of 5 years or a maximum of 5 years. And what's the third condition? There's another condition, but I can't remember what it was. And the other question that management board members had was about the lights and making sure we get the right hue. And I talked to the sign company and they said that's certainly something. In fact, what they spec'd out in the proposal, I looked it up and it was a yellow hued
Great.
bulb. So I think they're sensitive to that. So we're just waiting on the property owner to see if he wants to move ahead with that. And the committee itself is reviewing the 2022 streetscape study. And they do think that bringing back the gazebo, the lighting, the illumination of the gazebo is another place-making project that we should probably go back to. They don't think necessarily that there was kind of a halo lighting inside. And then I think the original project had some exterior lighting as well. I think it pointed down though. But they're thinking just get the inside lit so that from a distance you see the architectural element of the gazebo. So I don't know what all that is going to involve. I think we did have estimates from electrician. So I'll just have to work with Tim from Beckett Raider and try and get that going again. Gary, did you have anything else from the committee?
I think it also included lights that illuminated the roof. I think it also included lights that illuminated the roof as
Okay.
well. And the ones that they were probably going to do away with were the ones on the ground that were surrounding it.
Yep.
So.
So that is the design committee. Marketing and promotions will be meeting tomorrow. Again, staycation, I'd sent something out on that. That's gonna be going March 24th through April 6th. Working on trolley sponsorships and the shopping map update. I have talked to Caroline at Bliss Fest. They already have the bands lined up for Sounds of Summer, but I'm meeting with her early, like the first week of April. And then we'll start getting the word out on that, but that's much earlier than we got last year, but they booked people for Bliss and then they had other people interested, so we have all 5 weeks, I think, booked for Sounds of Summer. And then I'm also talking to Beards on the Toast to Downtown event, and we're thinking potentially end of April for that. With that, I will turn it over to April to talk about parking.
We've hired 3 part-time folks. The focus has definitely been on being ambassadors, going in and out of all the different stores so they can understand what's being offered and be able to greet guests when they're here. Otherwise, I'm super excited about them.
Lovely.
Any questions?
Thank you. I appreciate that emphasis on customer service and being ambassadors, and I'm sure everybody else on the board feels the same. Is that it for our committee updates?
Yeah, that's committee. The only other staff update I wanted to make the board aware of, tomorrow night, the planning commission is going to be talking about possible code changes in the central business district dealing initially with uses in the lower level. This is related to the redevelopment of the Leo's building. And there's 2 different uses that he would like to use in his lower level. One would be like a bar, kind of, he's calling it a speakeasy, but he also wants to do some living space in the lower level. Our code is actually currently silent on the lower level. It speaks to ground level and upper level. So it doesn't even say you can do anything in the lower level, although obviously we have a lot of lower levels that have activated space. So at a minimum, we want to get it so that we're allowing commercial in the lower level, but then also potential for living if it can meet fire and building code regulations. And that's also going to open up the discussion again of ground level. Or residential in the back of commercial space. But I think right now we're just trying to get them to focus on the lower level and allowing activation of space in the lower level. So anyway, this will be their very first discussion of that. And, so we'll see how it goes.
You said that's what day?
That's what?
When's that happening?
Why?
When?
Oh, when, sorry. Tomorrow night. So tomorrow would be their initial discussion. And then usually they will work on the language for a meeting or two, then they'll schedule a public hearing, they hold a public hearing, then it goes to city council. So, or so it'll be a multi-month process, but it's on their agenda for tomorrow night. So eventually, I think we will want a letter of support for something from the DMB, but I think since it's the first time they're seeing it, I think it's premature.
Thank you. Any questions regarding that?
Can we disclose who that, I forget who that owner is, of that building.
Sorry?
The owner of the, old Leo.
Yes?
Who is it?
Who is it?
Yeah.
Flynn. His first name's not coming to me.
Randy.
Randy Flynn, right. Randy
Is that the
Flynn,
same
of
person?
Fortes Flynn.
Oh, okay. Curiosity.
Thank you, Ms. Tweeten and Ms. Sanders. Do we have a report by city staff?
Shane had let me know that he probably wouldn't come tonight. There wasn't too much on city council last night, but the projects are starting, so I believe March 31st, the Pennsylvania or Park Avenue project will commence. And then April 7th, I believe the Seville lot will. So I believe they're gonna be going out this week and making sure all the affected parties that they sent out letters, is my understanding, to all the property owners and tenants. At least I gave them information for all of that. And I know they sent out letters, whether it found their home, I don't know. Okay. And yeah, so, but I think they're just gonna do the public works people going door to door and just making sure they know. The work will be starting, and it'll start on the south block of Park Avenue, so it'll be your block area.
Thank you. I received 6 copies of that letter.
Oh, okay.
I mean, all addressed to different, entities. It was fine, but I was well covered. So,
Did
thank
they
you.
all?
They were gonna find you one way or the
I didn't open them all. I stopped after 2.
It's a golden ticket in it.
But there probably is. I should go back and find that.
Number 5.
Of course it was. All right, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna go on to old business, discussion on the strategic plan implementation.
Okay, at the last meeting, we had a discussion of progress we had made on the 23-24 action items. And a lot of the marketing and promotions items got moved out to 25. So those are at the bottom of this list. I won't go into detail in all of these. But these are what are in the plan for the coming 2 years. And it's this is much more, the first year was organizational structure. This is much more working towards a cohesive voice for downtown. So there's discussion of an advocacy plan. And again, some of this is probably going to be occurring both with these potential zoning code changes, with developments that happen, but it's just making sure downtown knows of development that may be happening and is acting as an advocate for it. So that's what those first three are. Then the next category is people understand and value ventures versus a culture of resistance. Similar, just that the downtown community is speaking with a voice of, we accept change, we want change. And trying to keep the negativity to a minimum. And just keeping everyone apprised of things that are coming and how they can help in the process. So again, those are all the next 2 years. And then there's addressing the SWAT challenge of downtown staff are the bad guys. I think this past year, quite a lot of work has occurred in this area, but we can always do more. Always looking at technology, whether that's the parking, whether that's Park Mobile, or what is the best technology for what we have. The discussion has come up at the parking committee of moving to pay stations everywhere. And when that was discussed at the design committee, it was like, no, that's not a good idea. But so that's just always looking at the technology and being at the cutting edge. The validation program we already have, and I guess it's just communicating it better. I know when we discussed it at Wake Up Downtown last year, there was a very strong feeling that it was only for retailers, which is not the idea. But I think it was just the example that was given was that if you have a shopper that goes and gets a ticket and they can bring it back to you and you can either pay it or take it to us and we will pay it because they are a customer. Somehow that was spun into something that wasn't good, but so we just have to keep pushing that and making sure people understand that it is available to everybody. And the intent is we want customers to park and we don't want them to have to pay for tickets if they're truly shopping. We're trying to keep employees off of the streets. So continued work on that. And then just trying to continually educate on why we manage parking, what is parking revenue used for, and why it is critical that we have turnover in those spaces and the value of managing parking. And there's a lot of this is just continual education is what we need to be doing. And then it talks about more events related to kind of, I think the Toast to Downtown is trying to get people together in a positive messaging. And let's see, infographic or visually focused annual report. That's something to be worked on. And then just trying to show people their return on investment. That's a little more challenging, but that'll be part of that infographic eventually. I highlighted this next one because it's a parking deck location is selected and the design is moved forward with to deliver on the promise of structured parking. I don't know that it was ever a promise, but I don't know how. I think this action actually changes somewhat. We know we're not taking the lead. It's not to say we don't want to partner with private entity in the form of maybe it's tax increment financing, but that's going to be a much better tool to build a structure than using parking revenues. So I don't know that it needs to be removed, or we just need to be clear that we're not running out and building a parking deck with parking revenue. So as long as everyone's clear on that. Again, communication on frequently asked questions and what is parking revenue used for. We had a comment on that even today about how we say that we're spending all this money to improve downtown, but they're not seeing any improvement. So, unified message, and again, visual graphics. So some of this is kind of repeating. The non-local property owners, this is talking about those code changes, so that is in the process of trying to allow, and really this idea for the Leo's building in the lower level is kind of the name of it is co-living or like a suite. So you would have, everyone would have their own bedroom, bathroom, but there'd be a common kitchen. Kind of like the way dorms are these days. And that would be clearly much more for workforce housing than condominiums. And again, just when it's appropriate, the management board to send letters of support for various developments or code changes. Petoskey needs fresh perspectives. This is talking about the block captain program. That the downtown manager should be spending at least 2 hours every week in businesses. And then again, these events, a coffee, a morning event that would be similar to the Thirsty Thursdays, and then also it discusses doing an evening. So some people mornings are going to be better, some people evenings are going to be better. So just trying to offer that opportunity for businesses to get together on a more informal basis. Let's see. And then this is more about business recruitment, the discussion of a movie theater for downtown and finding a location for that and finding an operator for that. Let's see. Making sure that the 200 East Lake Street property does have a retail component, whether that is the location of a movie theater as well is to be determined. And then really the role and future of events is something that, along with the future organizational marketing direction, is something really the marketing and promotions committee is gonna need to hash out and work with the new marketing, communications, and promotions director. So that a lot of the marketing ones are carryovers from the 23-24 timeline. So lots to be accomplished, but doable.
Thank you, Ms. Tweeten. Any comments? Or questions? Amy, as I was going through this, and it says at the bottom, page 2 of 6. You're talking about the messaging that the downtown management board meeting us, that we have a unified message on parking and can educate business owners. I was thinking that maybe at a future meeting, that's what we could discuss. And that it would be something where it's our elevator speech about parking, right? So when someone complains to us about parking or questions parking, kind of everybody knows what to say. We're all saying the same message. We're all being, positive and being informative in the correct way. So I would think that if we could add that as a topic at one of our future meetings and then discuss it and role play it a little bit, that would be time well spent.
Is it something you think the parking committee should start and then bring it to the management board, or you're thinking management board work on it?
Oh, no, I mean, I think that the parking committee could work on that certainly, and it would come here, and then here would be the discussion, like. These are our talking points, this is what we would like you as members of the management board to say about parking. And then making sure everybody's comfortable with that and so.
Yeah, you put out some stuff too that would help. Already, but I think like Jen said, it would be nice if we were all on the same page. I think we all are on the same page, how we deliver that message
Right.
is the other.
I know that lots of other boards in the area do that for different topics and things like that. They have education on it, and then they say, okay, this is what our stance is, and this is how we're going to present it when we're asked. So that everybody is saying the same thing.
I think potentially that infographic or stuff like having some of that, you know, we spend this X amount of dollars to take care of snow every year is like a big thing for people to understand and part of that message. So having that together would be helpful too.
And you can't just say it once, or can't just publish it once.
Right.
You know, people on average have to hear or see something 3 times before it starts to click, so. The more times you can get it out there, the better.
We always say 7 times.
Oh, 7,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, well.
Maybe it's different in hospitality.
See, okay, well, you know, our gift consumers, sorry. All right, any other comments or questions? Ms. Tweeten?
What's our, where are we at with the marketing job promotions search?
That is posted until the 28th.
Okay, I didn't remember what the timeline was.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we?
And we've gotten a fair number of, I mean, I think I've asked her to just get them to me weekly instead of continually. And I think we've gotten 7 or 8 every week, which has been 2 weeks. So, yeah, no, I think we'll get a
I
good.
know I was the one that said extended, but I just felt like when we were searching once, that even though there were a lot, it wasn't a lot of good.
Mhm.
So, we already went down that road a little bit, that's why I was thinking of the extension more than anything. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And just to reiterate, we do have a marketing and promotions meeting tomorrow morning at 8:30, if anybody'd like to join us. Is that meeting on Lake Street, Ms. Tweeten? All right, perfect, okay.
Do we have enough?
Yes, tomorrow afternoon, yes, okay. All right, anything else anybody'd like to bring up? Okay, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make that motion to adjourn.
Perfect, so moved, thank you all.
Is there a baby? Congratulations.
It is 6:38, Amy. 6:38.
6:30.